Hello everybody and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Dorothy and this is Mom Unstuck. I decided to start this channel actually at the beginning of the year, but it's April and here we are. Better late than never, I guess they'd say. But yeah, for one reason or the other, I haven't been able to record this video. I am a wife and a mother of two, a 4-year-old boy and a 2-year-old girl, and really my life has been centered around raising these little humans, and my channel is going to be all about being a mom who is also trying to rediscover who I am outside of being a mother, and that's why the name Mom Unstuck. So pretty much I am bringing you on a journey to, as I unstuck myself, as I try to get out of that mother rabbit hole. It has been so much fun, yes, raising these kids. It has its ups and downs, it's challenging, it stretches you, and that's why I am starting this channel to share my experiences and hopefully get to connect with other moms like me who are also trying to rediscover themselves outside of motherhood. And here we are. So I was thinking about where to start with this journey of Mom Unstuck, and probably that's the reason why I have been so delayed in starting the channel. But I thought, why not start with sharing recent life-changing thing that happened in my life and in my family, and it's part of my journey of being unstuck. I recently undertook a trip of a lifetime, I'd say, deciding to take myself and my kids back to Africa, to Kenya, where I'm from. Hey Kenyans, yay, 254. Yes, I decided to take my kids back home after 9 years of being away. So when I left Kenya several years ago, I was single, had no kids, and then when I went back last December, I am now married and with 2 kids. So it was an adventure of a lifetime, and I thought, for me, it's probably the best place to start this channel by sharing my experience and my journey of being unstuck and being able to travel with 2 toddlers. That in itself is such a daunting task. I do not take that for granted. I do not take it lightly at all. It was probably the most difficult thing I've ever had to do to date, but I am glad that I did it. I have no regrets whatsoever. My kids and I had an amazing time back in Kenya, and the best part was being able to reconnect with family, being able for my children to meet their other side of the family, to get to bond, to get to know their cousins, their relatives, their grandparents, and just being together was the best time of it all. There was obviously some ups and downs, some challenges, which I'm gonna get into probably in another part of this video. But today is pretty much an introduction of how that trip turned out. I will be inserting some clips here and there that I got to record while we were traveling, while we were there. Some interesting things that I got to record. I'd be more than happy to share those, and really I'm just looking for some connection with you guys. So if you can relate in any way, if you think this channel is something that you'd like to be a part of, if you want to see what's coming up, I have really some awesome content that I'll be putting out as the months go on. Be sure to stick around, subscribe to my channel, Mom Unstuck, and like this video if you do enjoy it. Awesome. So like I said, I recently embarked on a trip of a lifetime taking my children back to Africa. It was the best thing I ever did, and also the most difficult thing because I traveled alone. It was just me and my 2 kids. So from booking the flights, it was a last minute decision. I had not planned it very well. So we left in December, mid-December of last year, 2021, and we were there for about a month. So obviously everything there was just perfect. The weather was nice. We were able to get away from the Canada winters, which are horrible. And I was told that this past December was particularly very harsh. So I'm glad that we didn't get to experience that. My kids and I were away enjoying beautiful weather, Kenyan heat, Kenya summers, beaches, nice trips, every day good weather. It was so much fun. I'll be sure to insert some videos for you guys. Yeah, so I think I'd like to start by preparing a parent like me who'd be wanting to travel to their kids to Kenya. Well, I can only speak about Kenya because that's where I went and that's where I'm from. But I think any mom with 2 small kids or whatever number of kids who wants to travel, regardless of where, I believe even in between provinces or in between states in the same country, if you're in the States, can relate to some of the things that I'm going to share, or maybe can benefit from the things I'm going to share. And so, yeah, I'm hoping it will be beneficial to you in one way or another. So, first thing I would like to say, I found that it was better for me to book the flights at night, to have a nighttime flight so that my kids can sleep. And it did not go as easy as I thought, especially for my little baby. She had a hard time falling asleep on the airplane. So did my son. So the first flight, I am from Calgary. So from Calgary to Toronto, which was about 4-hour flight, 4.5, I guess. It was not very pleasant, but eventually they did fall asleep after a lot of struggle. Yeah, but I found that as we were going on from one layover to the next one, to the next flight, they were getting used to it, and then eventually we were in Kenya. So the flight in itself, I didn't have a lot of issues, but it was challenging having some carry-on bags with me. That was really tough because I couldn't find, people were not as helpful. So sometimes, so I brought a stroller with me, which I highly recommend. If you're traveling with kids, be sure to carry a stroller. You don't want to be going from one end of the airport to another with 2 toddlers who are grumpy, tired, sleepy, hungry. They don't want to walk. You need to have a stroller just to make sure that at least that they're resting or they're in one place. So that was very helpful. But what was frustrating was that I could not get in the airplane with a stroller. So they have you leave it outside, and then you're supposed to pick it up when you're alighting from the flight. And my goodness, every single flight that we came out from, I had to wait for my stroller. My stroller was never there. So that was so frustrating. My kids were getting tired, lying on the floor, like sitting on the floor as we waited for the stroller. So that was something I found challenging. But I found out that probably I should have asked for the stroller to come into the plane with me. Probably I think there's an option to even pay for the stroller to sit with us. I did not know that. So just FYI, maybe that might be helpful to you when you're traveling. And then the layovers were not so bad because it was still during COVID times. So we got to, as much as we had to wait, we were still able to make it do the COVID protocols and into the other flights. So I did appreciate, as much as we had about 1.5 layovers, 2-hour or 3-hour layovers, it went by pretty quick because of the COVID protocols. So I'm not sure how much that has changed now, being that we are in April now. So it might be a good thing also to just give yourself time if you're traveling with kids due to COVID protocols and all that stuff, just to give yourself enough time from one flight to the next. Another thing I have to say about the flights, as I mentioned, I booked my trip last minute, so it was not easy for me to get some good flights for a good rate. So I booked a flight that was cheaper. I chose to travel with the Ethiopian Airlines, and I ended up regretting that. Airline did not work for me, especially with the kids. The biggest part being that they do not speak English. So at the airport, when I was stranded, for example, when I was waiting for my stroller, nobody could help me because they could not understand. We could not communicate, and that was so frustrating. And their security protocols are so rigorous. They make you take off your shoes, and you can imagine with 2 kids, it was just so much. So that is one thing I'd have to caution you if you're traveling to Africa with 2 small kids. You might want to rethink a flight. Pick a flight that probably doesn't go through Ethiopian or doesn't have too many layovers. So that's something to watch for. Another thing I'd say is the Ethiopian airline just made it so hard for me. Their seats are not very comfortable, and one of the flights was about 12 hours, like from Toronto to Ethiopia. That was the longest flight, and oh my goodness, it was so long. But I'm glad my kids slept through it most of the time, and by this time they were settled down. They were used to being in the air, so it wasn't too much of a hassle. But still, I would rather have a flight that has less layovers, if you know what I mean. What else can I mention about the flight? I think that's pretty much it. I think what kept me excited, even as challenging as it was the fact that I knew my end destination was in Kenya, was in my home country. I was going to see family, and I was also going to get to rest. So the going part wasn't as challenging because there was something to look forward to. The challenging part was the coming back. But all in all, it really worked out. So I want to mention a few things that you should be aware of when traveling with toddlers or small kids. You can pack some snacks that they like dry foods like crackers, cookies, even cereal. It's okay to pack the dry foods. You just put them in some Ziplocs or whichever way you find convenient for you to pack them. But they do allow that for the kids. And in the plane, you can always ask for milk, water, all that. As long as you have kids, I found that they were more willing to and understanding and accommodating, and that was throughout every airline that I used. They were considerate of the fact that I had kids, so maybe even sometimes when we were eating and my kids were sleeping, I would request them to wait until they wake up to bring their food, and I never had any issues with that. Even with Ethiopian, they were very accommodating in that aspect. What else should I mention about the flights? Trying to change a baby's diaper in those little squeezed airline bathrooms, lavatories, whatever. Oh my gosh, that was a headache. They are too squeezed. But anyway, we were able to do it as long as it's not turbulent in the air and the flight is all going smoothly. I was able to do it. Luckily, I only actually had to do it once. So for the other times that I needed to change my baby, if it was just a pee diaper, I just put her on my lap on the seat there in the flight, and I just changed her while we were seated. I didn't have to worry about going to the lavatories. Another thing I'd recommend if you have layovers, which like an extended layover, is to bring also your kids' favorite crafts, favorite toys, like the little ones that you can pack in your carry-on. Bring crayons if they like crafts, if they like their workbooks, their coloring books, their reading books, things that you can keep them busy with while you're waiting for your next flight. I found that to be very helpful. But also do not worry about it if you can't, because the kids are tired. Everybody is tired. You might find that they're not even interested to do anything, but it's an option if you wanna bring that. Yeah, and then eventually we did land in Kenya, and oh my gosh, you have to be prepared for the headache there at the airport, at the baggage section where you're picking up your luggage, if you're going to Kenya, that is. That was such a nightmare. It took me another like over 2 hours just to get all my luggages. I had like 6 suitcases. I had a car seat and the stroller, and none of them arrived on time. I actually had to leave the car seat behind, and I went back a few days later to pick it up. That's a story for another day. But I'm glad I found everything. So I was worried about losing my stuff, but I found that at the airport, yes, it is a bit hectic at the Kenyan airport, but they were really helpful. And even with the car seat that I left behind, I was able to go back and I found it there waiting for me. So I did not lose anything, but I found that you have to be proactive. You have to ask questions. Like if your luggage is missing, don't just assume that it's lost. It could easily just be held up somewhere in their back area there. So just follow up on it, because the surprising thing, when I went to pick up my stroller a few days later, they took me into the room where the lost luggage, where they keep it. And it's like 2 huge rooms full of suitcases, full of people's belongings that people never pick up. So I think I guess that most people assume that their luggage is lost, but that's not always the case. So yeah, just be proactive about it. If you're missing a bag, don't just assume that it's lost. If you're sure that you had it with you up to the end of your flight, then just ask them. Keep asking them. Keep going to check there, and you can find it. Yeah, I guess trying to think anything else I can say about the flight. I want to quickly mention some things that you must bring with you, or maybe I can do that in the follow-up video, because I don't want this video to be too long. This was meant to be an introductory video. Yeah, so maybe also pack some like emergency like stuff, like diaper cream, enough diapers in your carry-on. Make sure you have enough diapers. That is one thing I found, that I could not find diapers anywhere, like in the airports. Maybe I wasn't anywhere, not that I needed, but I was just thinking if I would have needed, what could I have done? So, and then also you can bring, because they don't allow water when you're checking in, but you can bring in empty water bottles for the kids. That's allowed. You can pack that in your carry-on, and then in the airplane you can be refilling them with water as they go. Yeah, so I mentioned the water, I mentioned the snacks. Obviously, a change of clothes when you're traveling with kids, that should be an obvious thing. So make sure in your carry-on you have enough change of clothes, maybe even a spare pair of shoes. If your kids are too tired from walking with their shoes, you can switch them up with sandals or whatever the case may be, just to make them comfortable. This long flight, the thing you have to worry about the most is keeping the children comfortable, because as long as they're comfortable, then it was easier for me to endure the long flight, the long journey. But when their kids are fussy and complaining, then it's not fun, and it's also inconveniencing for the other passengers but there's nothing you can do about that, right? So, oh yeah, and that's the other thing I have to say. You should expect that the kids are most likely going to be grumpy. They're going to cause a fuss. They're going to be fussy. There might be some crying, some tantrums. You can expect that when you're flying with kids, because especially for my kids, it was their first time flying, so they had never been on an airplane before. So yeah, there might be some of those challenges. They might be terrified as the flight is taking off or landing, whatever. So just prepare yourself mentally so that it doesn't get to you, because you have to be strong for them, and you really do not have to worry what other people are thinking. Don't worry if your kids are screaming that you're bothering other people. It should be up to them to understand that these are kids. So you just worry about keeping them calm, keeping yourself calm and happy, and just do the best you can. So I'm gonna do a part 2 of this video, so stay tuned. But in the meantime, let me know in the comments if you have traveled with kids recently or are planning to travel with toddlers in the near future, and if you found this video helpful. In the part 2 of this video, I'm going to be sharing about the essential items you need to pack when traveling with kids. I'm gonna put up a list of a few of them, especially when you're traveling with kids to Africa and to Kenya in particular. And I'll be giving you more details about our amazing trip. All right, thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll catch you right back in the second part of this video. Bye.